First of all, I want to say on a personal note what an extraordinary experience it was for me, and I'm sure for those of you who came to the 8 o'clock service 2 weeks ago, to worship with the CV family. This congregation right here, there were about 90 people, a vast majority of whom were CVs. And I don't know about you, but if we have family reunions in my family, if you get them from the next state over, you're doing really well. But here last 2 Sundays ago, they were family from California, family from Oklahoma, family from Kansas, family from New York. All those people saying that, yes, my connection to you, my connection to this family means enough to me that I'm going to be here. And furthermore, in addition to celebrating their roots as family, it meant also that they celebrated together the fact that they cherished the Word. And the CB reunions, every single year, they worship together on a Sunday morning, and they have one of their own family members preaching. Will this year's preacher please stand? The family matriarch preached the Word, and they had their own CB choir right up here. Lots of them, weren't there, Jan? Yes. And it was amazing to think about the fact that they would come from far and wide, not only to connect with each other, but to connect with the risen Lord. And thank you for that inspiration. I will not forget it. Well, in last week's sermon, I preached about, you're supposed to make me feel good and say, Abraham Lincoln, but I'll say it for you. I preached about Abraham Lincoln, and I concluded the sermon by quoting from him these words. I don't like to hear cut and dried sermons. No, when I hear a man preach, I love to see him act as if he were fighting bees. That's pretty vivid imagery, especially for me because I'm allergic to them. And so I was imagining myself in that setting, and then I got to imagine Lincoln sitting in one of the pews where you are now, and I challenged myself. I thought, have I preached a sermon that Abraham Lincoln would say I was swatting a bee? I couldn't think of one. So, this morning I decided to swat. Yeah, you look shocked. I decided to swat one bee, and here goes. By way of introduction, early this spring I decided to take my sister's little granddaughter to see Mary Poppins at the Maine State Theater. That is, until I found out that tickets cost $59 a piece. So, someone suggested that I find a nice weekend performance in Ogunquit, which she might enjoy, and we could do it at a more doable price of $12 a seat. It sounded like a go. A nice Sunday matinee, perfect. That is, until I checked the time of the one Sunday show, 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I couldn't help it. I saw that and yelped out loud. And Dick heard the shriek and wondered if I had electrocuted myself. It's true, I just went, ah! Why that response? Because as most of you know, as most of you are well aware, during the school year, many sports have all but taken over Sundays. In fact, these days it becomes de rigueur to be informed that there's a football practice or a gymnastics competition or a tennis match right during the time most Christian churches hold worship services. The pastors aren't happy about that, and I think the parents are even less happy. But that's the way it is. Try as we may with pleas, letters, and petitions, our efforts have failed to have any impact whatsoever. The one time I know of a response happened when Dick and I were serving a church in Pepperell. Every August, without fail, the town hosted what was called the muster. And at each muster, all the sirens in town would sound off. When? Precisely at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. And so we in the Clergy Association band together and we wrote a letter requesting that there be a change in the timing. Our request was honored. However, the new time selected was 10:30 a.m., which meant that all the sirens went off in the middle of our sermons. Sometimes one can't win for losing. To learn that now the summer entertainment world has moved in on Sunday mornings, that was more than I was ready to face. I wish I could reassure myself that none of that matters because the kids won't show up at a time like that. Their parents are committed to taking them to church on Sunday mornings. They won't go for entertainment instead. But who would I be fooling? We live in a culture that lives not by the fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, but by the Burger King slogan, have it your way. In other words, would you rather go to the show, kids, or would you rather go to the church? It's up to you. Our nation was founded in God's name 237 years ago. Yet how easily we are drifting, how quickly we are allowing ourselves to become a secular society without a fight. And it's happening almost overnight. When I began in ministry, every single Wednesday night during the school year was designated as church night. People who never attended worship, people of any faith persuasion, always called it that, giving clergy free rein in scheduling council meetings or choir rehearsals or confirmation classes, you name it. Like Sunday mornings, this was a time-honored custom of unilaterally reserving Wednesday evenings for people to use in living out their faith commitment, whatever commitment that happened to be. But now, those days are gone. This past June, at the New England United Methodist Annual Conference, our statistician shared these facts. 1995, the number of children enrolled in church school classes was 16,202. This is all the New England Conference. That's Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut. Last year, in 2012, the number of children dropped to 6,048, representing a decline of 63%. Currently, many churches in the conference are reporting no children at all in their church school. Regarding baptisms, in 1995, there were 2,714 baptisms. In 2012, there were 876. That's a decrease of 68%. And we, as a society, are paying the price. Bullying is reaching epidemic proportions, not only at the high school level, but definitely in the middle school and elementary school levels as well, and it's on the upswing. I can remember our daughter, Julie, coming home from school one day, at least 7 or 8 years ago, saying, "I'm so tired of the teachers talking about bullying. I don't know how much longer I can take it." But the beat went on and on and on. So it's not that the schools weren't trying. It's not that the teachers weren't trying. It's not that the schools haven't been trying. It's not that the teachers aren't trying now to curb bullying. But it's an uphill battle. About 2.5 weeks ago, I received an invitation to help subsidize the cost of a lecture, an outside expert/consultant, to come to the school district for 1 day so as to address the concerns and impact of bullying. My response to that invitation is to say we already have an expert on bullying in Jesus Christ. And we already have good and able teachers here in our churches who will teach our young people, not 1 day, but every single week, and they won't charge a thing. So please give us back our Sunday mornings so we can do our job in instilling respect for the sacredness of all human life. Robert Fulghum, in his classic book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, wrote these words: "Across the course of our lives, we will wrestle with questions of right and wrong, good and bad, truth and lies. Yet again and again and yet again, we will come around to the place where we came in, to that room where the elemental notions about the human enterprise were handed to us with great care when we were very young." For Abraham Lincoln, that room was at his mother's knee. It was there that she taught him the 10 Commandments, and it was there that he heard the stories of Jesus. That room, for me and for many of you, was most likely the Sunday school classroom. It was there in that room that we heard the importance of honoring our mother and father. It was there in that room that we learned how we could love our neighbors as ourselves. It was there in that room that we learned that Jesus loved us no matter what, because we are indeed a child of the living God. It was there in that room where we saw that painting of Jesus blessing the children after he had said, "Let the little children come to me." His request has not changed over the years. It is the same. "Let the little children come to me." It was there in that room that we did go to him, and our lives were never the same again. One of my recurring nightmares is that the name God will become, for a new generation of children, part of a swear word, or part of an exclamation, OMG, and that will be the extent. Did you ever worry about that? We're not that far from it. Do I think that restoring the Sabbath is a magic cure? No. Even without conflicting sporting events or entertainment activities, will the youth go to church? That's a very good question. I can't answer that. But I will say that restoring the Sabbath will bring us that much closer to being the country we were founded to be, one nation under God. Amen.